Workshop
Okay.
Wednesday, we're live, should be live in the ABO group. If you're joining us, great. If you're watching us later, that's great too. But
Double purpose.
today's pretty exciting, right, Carrie?
Yes.
Look at you being all excited.
I get excited about QuickBooks. I can't help it.
But today we're actually going to try something new, and we're actually going to work through a workshop, like an issue, like a hot topic. So today is going to be all about the undeposited funds account. And we're going to talk about some of the things that affect that account and some of the challenges you may come across as an accounting or bookkeeping professional when you stumble across problems in that account. So I'm going to handle the QuickBooks Online side because we've already determined that Carrie does not care for QuickBooks Online, but she's going to handle the desktop stuff.
Yes.
So let's first talk about
What it is.
undeposited funds in general. So Carrie, what do you call undeposited funds? I mean, it's not picked up by any spell checker as a legitimate word.
No. In fact, when we tried to write our blog and refresh it and make it up to date, it was screaming at us. So anyway, undeposited funds is a QuickBooks term. And I've been teaching QuickBooks since, the dinosaurs roamed the earth. So let me back up to what the purpose was. QuickBooks is trying to make it easy for you. So what does that mean? Accountants fight it. They go in, change the settings. They're like, no, a deposit should go to a deposit. But in reality, let's just go back old school. Let's take QuickBooks off the table, and we're doing it on ledger books. Ew, whatever. Those green pads. Back in the old days, you had invoices for your customers in your accounts receivable book. And then you had your good old-fashioned, I'll wave this so you don't steal my identity. That's my checking account information. But the deposit, that's your deposit book. So customers come in, pre-pandemic, they'd hand you a check. You'd have to go to the bank. Ew, okay? But you'd get more than one check a day, right? That's the concept of undeposited funds. Or you don't want to run errands every single day. It takes a lot of, the owners like this, the admin person, stay put, just take it on Friday. So in the meantime, do you want your client calling and saying, how much do I owe? And somebody didn't post their check? No, you want that posted. So post the check, show that ledger book or your QuickBooks that, I don't owe $100 on my account. But you haven't there's two steps. One is receiving the payment, so it's not due. And the second is running it to the bank with this old-fashioned way. So what you do is you write the checks as they come in, and on Friday, you take that deposit to the bank. Undeposited funds is that waiting period, so that you don't have to go. We've had so many people, I don't know, Dan, if you've gotten customers that said, I didn't understand it, so I write one deposit per payment. No, no,
Right.
no, you're making work. So the workflow that was designed to make it easier for you and keep your accounts receivable accurate, the bank can wait, has become a nightmare. The second thing is, if you don't do it right, when you go to do your bank reconciliation, ew.
Yeah.
Or your P&L looks like, holy crow, I've done fantastic. It doubles your income. You don't want that. You're paying tax. So we're going to work through how to fix this thing, and some common scenarios we'll show you.
Yeah. And we've identified those in our newly refreshed blog post, and ways to correct those things. So you can always review that later. I'll put the link to the blog post in the Facebook feed comments here, so you can go ahead and review that, and we'll put this workshop as part of that too. So you'll be able to review us talking about it and see us work through it. So hooray!
Yeah.
So go ahead, Carrie, if you want to pop into your QuickBooks desktop, you should be able to share the screen, which will minimize us here. So sorry, you don't get to see as much of us as you might
We've
like.
become very small. So I'm going to have Dan is going to Tell me exactly what to do.
guide you through this process. I'll be your Sherpa. So typically when the regular workflow is, hey, I've received a payment that goes into undeposited funds, because that drawer that the reality of putting checks in a drawer or putting cash in a drawer and then periodically taking that down to the bank.
Okay.
That's what undeposited funds is designed to be used, to group those funds that have yet to be deposited, undeposited funds. So the reality is that doesn't always get used the way it should. But it's really just an account to account for the passage of time from the time that you've received a payment to the time that you take it down to the bank.
Correct.
So typically what happens is that the bank feeds are connected, and those transactions are downloading into QuickBooks, and either you or your client or the QuickBooks rules that we had talked about before in a prior workshop Wednesday are automatically making those transactions for you, and they'll put them into sales or revenue or some kind of account that does not go through undeposited funds, because you cannot make a deposit to undeposited funds. You can only make a deposit from undeposited funds. So prepositions, very important. So let's create a deposit like you would stumble across when it's done out of sequence. So you go to banking and make deposits.
Banking, make deposit.
Yep. Now, in this particular instance, the payments to deposit window comes up, and that is those payments that are waiting to be deposited. So in theory, if you have a balance in undeposited funds, it should match what's waiting to be deposited when you go to make a payment. But let's go ahead and hit cancel here.
Okay, we're hitting cancel, and I'm making note of this information here. And in theory too, if you have your undeposited funds account correct, it should be 0 when you pull your balance sheet, just to toss that in.
Right.
We're talking about the concept, but this account would be showing up on our balance sheet. This $2,000 has not been handled right. So we're going to cancel.
Right.
Okay.
So we're going to create a deposit like it would be broken. So your from account would be your income. So sales or.
Yeah, goodness gracious. So let's, this is a dummy account, so I'm not sure what they've called their income. We'll just go for design income. Mm-hmm. If I knew the customer, who knows, we probably this is just coming straight from the feed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just put in the amount of $2,000.
Okay, so pretend this came from the feed. I'm going to hit save and close, right?
Right.
Okay.
So that would be setting it up like you would come across and go, oh, there's a problem, right? So there's a variety of ways to correct that situation, because the big challenge here is that the invoices, the invoice is recognizing the revenue of $2,000. Now this deposit is also recognizing the revenue of $2,000. Now they've doubled their revenue, even though that's not the reality. And that's typically where your client will come in and go, hey, where's all this money? Because I'm looking at my profit and loss. Looks like I'm doing really good. Why is that not the bank? Why does the bank not match that? Right.
Yeah.
So now we need to correct that. And the correct way is to put it back through undeposited funds. But there's a caveat, right? So typically, the easiest thing to do is delete that deposit, make the deposit the way it was supposed to be.
Do it right.
And have it go through undeposited funds. But typically you come across this and your client has already, they've already reconciled, or you've reconciled that deposit. And now, now you're faced with a dilemma. Do I undo my reconciliations, or do I delete this deposit? If I delete this deposit, now I've messed up my reconciliation. I'm going to have to do either a mini reconciliation or undo the reconciliation to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So now we're faced with, okay, well, how do we do that? So there's a couple ways to handle that. Now, if you're using the accountant version of desktop, you can use Yep, yeah, if you can't see, at the top there, we're using the accountant version. There actually is a built-in tool to find and fix this. So
Oh, and let me add one more thing. So if you're logged into your customer's Pro, Premier, or Enterprise as the Pro Advisor, you will have this tool. It'll be found in different places, I think under company file when it's not an accountant edition. So you still have access to this even if you are using your remoted in.
Yeah, you gotta be the external accountant, or be using the accountant version to have the access to this tool. But if you go to accountant,
I'm there,
and then under client data review,
boom,
there is the third one.
Sorry.
the third one down there, the tool is clear up undeposited funds.
Our favorite word, for the day.
All right. So what it's going to do is it's going to look for transactions that are in this condition where deposits are pointing into sales or not going to undeposited funds. So first we have to change the date. So this was 12.
Give you a heads up. The date that I was using was 2024, the fake date. So that's one of the issues. So it's not finding it. But over here.
So over here on the left side, it's got the no name on deposit. If you had put the received from, as a person, you could certainly do that. You'd see it there on the left side, but go ahead and click on no name on deposit.
There it is.
So now it's showing you on the right side payments that are still sitting in undeposited funds, and on the left side is the $2,000 deposit that's going into sales. Right. So all you have to do here is just click on both of them.
We're marrying them.
Right. We are joining them.
Right. I could probably hit apply. Apply.
Yeah, well, it would do that automatically if you hit apply, or you can manually check which one you want to apply it to, and then just hit save and close. Now you remember that when we went to undeposited, make a bank deposit, that $2,000 payment showed up. Now if we do that, to go record a deposit.
Both places. I could go both places, right? But make deposit.
Yeah.
Payments.
There are no payments to deposit because QuickBooks just put it through undeposited funds by that tool. So you didn't have to. you didn't have to find that deposit, do anything to the deposit. So the reconciliation status is unchanged by that. So your sales is reduced by $2,000 because it was overstated based on the deposit being there. So that's a great tool if you have access to it, either through the accountant version or being logged in as the external accountant. There's a variety of other ways to correct this as well. What were you going to say, Carrie?
It's just giving me this flag of one record deposit, but there's nothing there.
No.
Oh well, it's a sample file. Let's just move on.
Right. It may be you have to sign out and sign back in to correct that. But
anyway.
But that's a tool that you have available as an accountant. Now, if you're not logged in as the external accountant or not using the accountant edition, of course, you won't have that tool to use, but there are other ways to manually fix that.
Yes.
So if you have a ton of deposits that are waiting to be deposited, like a huge amount, and you can't go through and manually match them, then what you can do is create a clearing account.
Fake bank account.
So rather than putting them into the bank or trying to deposit them into the bank, you can just put them into a fake, you can create a bank account that would be a clearing account, make that deposit to that, and then you would just
journal it out.
Journal it. You can create a journal either on a monthly or a regular basis to kind of wash that out.
So the
that way.
P&L is that way the P&L is back to where it should be. So if the mistake account was that design income like I just showed you, then you move all of those undeposited funds, every single one, to the clearing account. Now I prefer to do it by month. That way you preserve your monthly statements. You could do it by day. You could do it for the year if you're just trying to clear out the prior year and get it
Right.
on track. But at the end of the day, you want that clearing account to be zero.
Right. Or at least the balance of the weight of the transactions that are waiting to be deposited. You know,
And
like
that's
if you've
zero
got
too. Yes.
if you've got 4 checks that are sitting in your black zipper bank bag, that should be the balance of undeposited funds, you know,
Bingo.
whatever it is.
Bingo.
So those are your choices when it comes to, you know, clearing that up. Again, as the accountant, you have the option to batch reclassify. You could go into those incorrectly modified deposits and reclassify that. But if you're in as the accountant, why not just use the the fixed deposit tool? But that's where it comes to, you know, QuickBooks Online, because you don't get that cool tool in QuickBooks Online. So if you have a desktop, yeah, I know.
Darn. Sorry.
I'm going to start sharing on my
Oh,
side.
let me hit stop share so you can
That's
take
all right. I kick you out.
I'm offended.
How dare you? So here we're looking in the sample company in QuickBooks Online. So when I go to make a deposit, this looks a little different because everything's all on one screen. So like in desktop, you get that pop-up that shows you these payments are waiting to be deposited. Here in online, you're going to have the, let's see, there we go. I got my, can you see that?
Yes.
Like,
Boy, wow. Is that for older people?
That's right. Okay.
I did.
So yeah, so
feel my
everything at the top is going to be what's waiting to be deposited. So this 6252 would technically be my balance in undeposited funds because these 2 transactions are waiting to be deposited.
Okay.
If you have transactions that are waiting to be deposited and you need to make them, then of course you just select them and make that deposit, and that takes them out of undeposited funds and puts them into the bank account on that day with that amount. Sorry, my alerts are going crazy on my watch, so it's getting electrocuted. Okay, so that is undeposited funds and the bank deposit screen in QuickBooks Online. Now, because you don't have an accountant tool that says, you know, reconnect or fix your undeposited funds, then you're forced with a few other options. So you can reclassify transactions, which is exactly the same as it is in desktop. So you can choose that sales revenue. You would find a deposit here in the reclassify tool, and then just reclassify it to your clearing account. So you would set up a clearing account for deposits, you know, call that a bank account, whatever it is that you want to call it, you know, clearing to fix up the undeposited funds. And then you would choose that transaction and remap it from sales to get it out of your revenue and put it into your clearing account. And then what you would do then, instead of making that deposit to the bank, you would choose these transactions and deposit it to the clearing account. So that's a way that you can do that, and you can do that in desktop as well. So if you're not using the the accountant edition, so that it has all those really cool tools, you could do it that way as well. So it really just depends on, you know, how much detail you need to get as to what's the right way to do that. If you want to do that on a monthly basis, like Carrie was saying, if you wanted to do that so that your profit and loss in history is correct, or if you just want to draw a line in the sand and we're just going to clear this all out in one fell swoop. So Carrie, anything to add there?
The best. So to me, whenever I'm planning, like we talked about balance sheets in one of our prior workshops,
Mhm.
my favorite word, by the way, I love balance sheets. So this is just one of the many accounts, and you want to, at the end of the day, look at each one of your puzzles individually. So you want to make sure, at least by end of year, make sure your open balance equity, not open balance equity. What? I'm losing my mind. Undeposited, another QuickBooks term. I
Yeah.
don't like that one as much as undeposited funds I love, but you want that to be zero at the end of the year. Just let it be an outstanding deposit, no big deal. You want that zero as at least the end of your year. And you want to make sure when you do your bank recs that all the outstanding deposits are real and they're not duplicates. Those are two areas where we find more people make mistakes. And if those two areas are clear, then most of the time your P&Ls are accurate, and you can have all kind of other exceptions to the rule, but those are mission critical. Make sure your bank reconciliations are clear, your outstanding deposits and checks are accurate and not duplicates, and your undeposited funds as of the end of whatever period is zero.
Right.
Outstanding deposits are okay.
Now, if you are a stickler for details and you want to match
perfect and clear, clean like
yes.
me. I like that.
The most thorough thing to do to maintain your reconciliations and clear out your undeposited funds is to actually find those deposits that are going into sales, choose the right payment that made up that deposit, and then wash it against as a negative the sales account, so that you're basically bringing it into and out of the sales account as kind of like a $0 deposit, and that will allow you to fix that. Or you can go into the original one and delete out the sales and then put in the actual payment. But that takes a lot of police work to determine what payments were part of this deposit to actually recreate that. And that way you're not breaking your reconciliation, because that's the baby you're trying to preserve. Is I don't want to redo my reconciliations. If that's not a concern, delete them all you want and then recreate them.
So I have gotten myself caught in this, and I'll just what Dan's giving are time saving ideas. So I can't tell you how many times it's like you're knitting a sweater and I start all over. I'll undo the bank recs, I delete all the garbage, I put it in nice and pretty, and then I hand my customer a humongous bill, and then they hate me and run for the hills. So unless you're willing to do it pro bono and have those books clean, and they don't mind paying, or you don't mind doing it pro bono because you just want it right, just be aware that these are some tools to save you time and net it out. If they're doubling up the word sales, what he's described is you're just zeroing that back out and making it accurate. It's going to be a lot of transactions and a lot of mess. And so the weirdo side of me wants it clean. I want all that garbage out, but the customer has to be willing to pay, or you do a pro bono. So that's kind of your decision.
Right. Now, one of the cool tools in QuickBooks Online Accountant that you don't have in desktop is the overview option. So when you go into the overview as an accountant, you can see how many transactions are sitting in undeposited funds. That's one of the highlights of that screen. So that will help you determine, okay, what am I in for when I'm maybe pricing out a cleanup or doing things like that. So that's a time saver to figure out, okay, what am I in for? Oh, I've got 246 transactions sitting in undeposited funds. This is going to take a lot of police work. So then I can, price my job appropriately when you're thinking about, what am I getting myself into with QuickBooks Online, which you don't get that in desktop, but you got some neat tools that a lot of accountants don't even realize that are there, because
because honestly, I like doing it. Admittedly, I'm the weirdo that wants all the garbage out, and I'll do it pro bono because I want it clean. But isn't that neat that he walked us through that trick?
Exactly. But that's what we're going to be doing with these workshop Wednesdays, trying to move forward, is actually working through some of these tools and time saving features that you have as accountants and bookkeepers, and hopefully, well, not hopefully you don't know about them, but hopefully you find out, learn something new, and you know, as always, well, here comes the cat. I'm sorry.
Always, where's Waldo? Where's the cat?
Always. Yeah, he's got to show himself up here. He's going to jump in a second. No, of course, now it's like a cat, you know. Can't
They don't
be
do what
trained.
you. Well, remember,
There he
QBO
goes.
is a cat, right?
Right. Exactly.
Now I'm a cat person, but I really like desktop, so
Right. You
I
like
like
your
the
dog.
loyalty of it. I
All
can
right,
clean it
well,
up. I love that I can delete. That's why I love them. Clean it up, put it back together.
right. You got
But
these really cool tools that you didn't even know were there. You didn't even know that
no, I
dog had that
didn't.
trick.
So hopefully I'm not alone in that. I mean, I've been doing this forever and I just like, you know, but we have cool tools to marry it together and make it work. So hopefully you got something out of it. Let us know.
Yeah. Keep continue the conversation in the Facebook comment section, and you know, check out the blog post. We're going to put this up there as well, so you can review that as needed. And we will see you next week for another Workshop Wednesday. Bye, Carrie.
Have a great week. Bye.